The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Scout Albertson, and I am the Director of Marketing for 888 VoIP. I'd like to thank you for attending our webinar today with Patton on the SmartNode SN500. We have Bert Patton from Patton Electronics with us today, who's going to present on the material. Just a couple of housekeeping things. This webinar will be recorded and put on our website following the webinar. And if you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the questions section of your GoToWebinar toolbar on the right-hand side, and we will go through them following the presentation. And Bert, I will pass this over to you now.
All right, thank you. Well, welcome to the Patton presentation on our brand new miniature enterprise session border controller that we call the SN500. I'm going to do a quick little review, or for maybe some of the newbies in the room, on what's an SBC really quickly. I'm going to talk about security and cost as being key drivers. Talk about where this new SN500 fits in the product line. Talk about the product itself, where it's positioned in the marketplace, including up against the competition. Talk a little bit about promotions that we have going on, and then we'll get to your questions. Okay, so why do we talk about enterprise session border controllers, and particularly on-premise session border controllers like we're talking about with this new miniature eSBC? Well, the job of an eSBC is multifold. One of the things that we focus on here at Patton is interoperability. There's a reason why we go for official certifications with 3CX and with Microsoft for Teams, or for Skype for Business, or Cisco, whether it be Cisco UC or Broad Cloud or BroadWorks. It's the reason why we do a lot of testing also with different IP phone brands like Yealink and Polycom and Cisco, is because one of the jobs is to ensure compatibility between all of these PBX products, software products, endpoint soft phones, and the like. So doing compatibility is a big part of the job. One of the reasons you put an eSBC on a site is because being on the edge of a network between the over-the-top provider, the wide area network provider, and the local area network is a strategic position in order to create what we call demarcation, which is basically network separation between these different provider networks. And then, of course, migration is part of it. A lot of our SBCs, not the SN500, but a lot of our SBC products are hybrid products, which means they're also VoIP gateways. And so they enable you to do a smooth migration and integrate some of your legacy TDM devices. Of course, security, I'm going to talk a whole lot about that. Quality of service, doing things like managing limited bandwidth and making sure that voice packets, for example, are prioritized. And then, of course, survivability, because voice itself is a mission critical application, and so we need to make sure that voice is working all the time. So we have a lot of ways that we do that in our eSBC products, including things like multi-WAN failover and PSTN failover and the like. So the benefits that an ESB really brings to this whole world of unified communications is it really enables a smooth migration to an all IP or full IP network. It is cost savings because it delivers efficiency through optimized operations, and it also simplifies things like network management, particularly with regard to over-the-top providers and particularly small resellers or managed service organizations that are providing other services to their customers or their subscribers. They're able to use the DMARC device basically to gain secure access to the customer's local area network, and we'll talk quite a bit about that. And also it lets you, any capital expenditures can be optimized, and any investment there can bring more value. And then of course, because really what we're talking about in terms of on-premise, it's really software that's residing on a purpose-built piece of hardware. And because of the way we do software here at Patton, it really allows for us to be to improve and to bring new products and new features and new releases to these network deployments as the market moves on, and it's always changing. There's always new things coming around that need to be integrated into these networks. So really, the all IP eSBC, it's about this SIP normalization, what's sometimes called SIP normalization, which we talk about as compatibility or interoperability. Basically, SIP is not always SIP. Every vendor does an implementation of SIP a little bit different, and SIP providers deploy it certain ways, IP PBX vendors develop it in certain ways, and then you've got desktop unified communications applications, you've got cloud PBXs, you've got IP phones, and all of this SIP traffic really needs to be normalized between all of these devices. And then of course doing protocol conversion or transcoding between all of these different things, between the PBX and the SIP trunk, or between the PBX and the UC solution, doing things like codec adaptation, allowing for high bandwidth codecs to be used on the local area network, but then utilizing low bandwidth codecs across wide area network links. And then on the protocol side, for example, with Microsoft Skype for Business or Microsoft Teams versus the whole rest of the world, converting SIP over TCP versus SIP over UDP, and also doing other protocol things like encryption, TLS and SRTP for security reasons. And then of course, all of the call routing functionality, the DTMF manipulations and managing different kinds of devices like faxes and things like that are really all part of what an SBC does. So the typical scenarios that you guys are dealing with is really the over-the-top service deployments. So a lot of times the telephony equipment is sitting behind a NAT or a firewall, and this can cause all kind of problems. As things in the network are moving and changing, and different loads are put on it, you can end up with one-way audio. You can end up with private IPs not being reachable by a particular SIP server. You can have call drops and interruptions. After a certain period of time, you're not able to get inbound calls. And so, Patton is delivering a solution that really solves for some of these nitpicking things that cause people to sometimes not like VoIP. We are supporting OpenVPN and IPsec, and we do public NAT address determinations. We do the SIP-R port support, and then of course we offer a high level of VoIP security, which is really what the big job of the SBC is. It's security, security, security. And one of the reasons why we developed this model in particular is because of this whole new phenomena that we have with COVID, which is work from home. If you think about it, in a matter of 30 days times, the offices were leaving the buildings, and everybody was going to work from home. Companies were scrambling around. They were shipping SIP phones to their employees, trying to get them, connected to the enterprise network. And the fact of the matter is, and you can read about it all in the news if you want to, is that this whole work from home thing has created massive security gaps, and it is being exploited by hackers and foreign intelligence services for their advantage. And we've all known for already a long time that, that SIP is the most used VoIP protocol, and attacks against or using the SIP protocol have really been on the increase and pretty dramatically. And the VoIP itself, I mean, just the fact that we're doing VoIP now, whereas before we were using public switch telephone network, itself means that the attack surface area that is available to hackers is much wider than it was before. And so what's going on is that, you know, these nefarious individuals are doing network penetration, they're doing credential snooping, they're eavesdropping on telephone calls, they're conducting toll fraud, and they're, if not doing denial of service attacks, they're laying the groundwork for future denial of service attacks. So on security, a lot of times customers don't understand why they need a session border controller for security, and they say, you know, something to the effect of, but I have a firewall. Well, you know, firewalls are great, they're important. We actually have a firewall in our devices, but firewalls are optimized for data traffic. They don't really have enough performance to support small voice packets. They don't even really recognize SIP and RTP traffic, and they don't really prevent eavesdropping, because when those streams start to traverse the public internet, those streams can still be hacked, and so or can be listened in on, and so measures have to be taken to prevent that kind of activity from occurring. Okay, so and on, you know, on this whole toll fraud business, you know, what hackers are basically doing is they're gaining access to devices within the customer network, and once they have access to a device or a server or an asterisk instance on a white box somewhere, they're able to use that access in order to place unauthorized long distance phone calls, and in some cases they can rack up thousands, tens of thousands, and there's actually been cases in that have amounted to undetected cases that went on for a long period of time that ended up being millions of dollars. So, and your firewall just doesn't do that. And so you need an SBC, you need, and in a lot of cases, you need it on premise in order to defend against the toll fraud. We do that by introducing back-to-back user agents and by doing advanced call routing security in order to, we do trusted peer and whitelisting and SIP flood prevention in order to prevent the denial of service attacks. In order to prevent encryption, or in order to prevent eavesdropping, we're using encryption, which is the now famous TLS and SRTP protocol. So when you look at a Patton SmartNode, you can really think of it as a truly converged voice and data security appliance. So now the new guy, the SN500. Like I said, we designed it specifically for the SoHo office. That means it had to be small, you know, not cost much to get get lots of them out to people's homes or people's small offices. It had to be really low cost, and of course, from the number of calls, you know, it's not a call center, right? It's a home. To be typically a single person working there, or if it's a small office, it's a handful of people. So you don't need to be able to handle a lot of SIP traffic. And so we purpose built this to do, you know, a small amount of traffic, and we took the hardware savings out of the not having to have as much horsepower in the product itself. So that's where the SN500 fits. It really is the low end of the Patton SBC product portfolio. Here's another way to look at it. We've got all these different models. They do all kinds of different things. You know, and we have certain models that are currently in our phase 1 Teams, certified for Microsoft Teams there. And then here you can see the SN500. So of note is that the SN500 is a low-cost SBC, but as of today, it's not certified for Teams. We have that coming in a second phase. So what makes this unique? Again, it's a really tiny form factor. It's small in the calls that it does. It's 4 to 30 simultaneous calls, which again is ideal for your small office, home office. It does have the back-to-back user agent. It does have the secure Patton cloud connectivity, which I'll talk about in a bit more detail here. And so you're able to do the call quality monitoring and you get all of the SIP related benefits that I talked about of security and normalization, and you could do call quality monitoring, and it can be provisioned with zero touch, also using the Patton cloud, or what we call redirect. And so, really the use cases are UC as a service is a big one. It's connecting SIP endpoints that are on a local area network. It's doing the topology hiding, the SIP security, the back-to-back registration. We are able to do service level agreement. We're able to support service level agreement in the over-the-top environment by doing the monitoring and the quality of service and the call quality monitoring. And again, the Patton Cloud is a central management platform, which I'll dig into here in a bit. And then, of course, SIP trunking is the other big use case. So it's hosted telephony, SIP trunking. And again, it's the same kind of thing. It's about the security and the monitoring and the quality and things like that. So, so really, you could think of this SBC as being a cloud connector, because almost as much of the benefit and the feature set that you get out of the device is actually cloud powered. And so the benefits of the Patton Cloud is it really simplifies deployments of VoIP. It increases the quality, it reduces the installation time, it results in higher customer satisfaction, better customer retention, and more control over the service. So if you're an ITSP and you're going over the top of you're not a facilities-based service provider, so you don't own the broadband links, you're riding over top of those broadband links, and that gives you very little control unless you can find out a way to control it. And the Patton Cloud is one of the ways that we use to do that. Then, of course, we give you all of these tools. So the Patton Cloud, we call this an edge orchestration service, and it is, your typical recurring revenue model, if you will. There's a free plan. You get a basic plan, a standard plan, which is very, very low cost, meant for really little guys, and then advanced and professional for people that are have a larger installed base or a growing base of customers. So, and then you get different features with each one of these plans. By the way, none of these plans are really expensive. I mean, compared to the value, well, they're not expensive, period, but there's also a high value that's delivered. So what the cloud does then, first thing is you log into your license to the Patton Cloud, and you get a dashboard, and that dashboard shows you all of the SN500s or gateways or other Patton session border controllers that are connected to your cloud or to your instance of the cloud. And it shows you a map of where those devices are geographically located. It shows you what software revisions are running on them, and it allows you to then do the basic stuff like define who's going to use the platform, what are their access rights within your organization, and then you can also do basic things like view configuration files on those devices, look at the logs of those devices, look at the device health itself, and then of course you can access from that. You can then drill down into any device that's on a customer premise, and you can go into the CLI terminal. You can look at the web GUI all through that central location. We also support the redirect service, right? So the device can come into the cloud and say, okay, it can point that device to another server, and that other server can deliver that device's configuration. That's in the third-party configuration model. But of course, we also perform native automated provisioning out of the Patton Cloud. So if you tell the cloud that device belongs to the cloud, it can recognize that device. It can have pre-prepared configuration files, or it can execute predefined wizards that then allow the user to answer a few questions in order to really wrap up the configuration of the device. So literally, it's a self-provision thing. You can ship it to your employee, or your customer can ship it to their employee, or you can ship it to the customer's employee. They can plug it in to their local area network. It can reach out to the Patton Cloud, and it can be provisioned without anybody talking to anybody or touching it. Of course, you could do licensing then from the cloud. So, you know, if you buy the device, the SN500 comes with 4 SIP sessions out of the box. You know, let's say it's a small office environment, you hire a new employer, you're doing more phone calls, and you want to enhance the number of SIP sessions, you can do that remotely just with the push of a button through the Patton cloud. Of course, we've got file management on this platform, so you could store your device files, the configurations, all. You can keep the original configuration, the changed configurations, and you do all the file management and things like that. And then, of course, the call records. So we can deliver basic call history of all the devices, right? So who was calling who, you know, what number dialed what number. So basic call records. It's also part of the file service. We can synchronize the file systems. So you can synchronize your configuration files with your log files and with your certificates and with your licenses and all that kind of stuff. And then there's file backup and restore. You know, so if you need to restore a network or a device to an old version because of some issue, you could just pull up that old software or that old configuration and push it to the device. And of course, you could schedule and perform software upgrades to your device with, you know, and then that can be scheduled, you know, on December 31st at midnight, run this software update or whatever. We do have a complete alerting and alarming platform. So basically, anything that's happening in the box or through the box is called a resource. You can then define sets of resources. You can collect data about what's going on with those resources, and then you can create triggers that say, if you know, with Boolean, you know, logic, whatever business logic you want to apply, then you know, you can say if I'm delivering busy signals, or you know, if somebody calls 911, or if you know, if the call quality starts to degrade, you know, then you can set up and you can distribute alerts, and those alerts can be distributed through SMS messages, through text messages, through emails. They can be visual alarms on your cloud interface, and then we have an API where you can then do API calls out to other third-party systems and the like. You also have a wizard editor in the cloud, so you can create and manage your own wizards for your own particular deployment use cases. It has a full packet capture capability, so basically you can any device that's connected to your organization in the Patton cloud, you can turn on packet capture. You can say, you can turn it on for a single port, you can turn it on for the whole device. You can say, give me all the packets, or you can say, just give me the headers. And then that packet capture starts to stream back to the cloud. It's stored in the cloud. And then once you get some period of time of trace captured, then you can go locally run your Wireshark traces. So no more sending somebody out on site, no more doing TeamViewer with a customer, no more, you know, fiddling around and having customer give you, you know, details about, you know, how to get access to the device. You can look at the configuration, get into the GUI and all that. It's all right here in a central location. And then every single call that is traversing the box has a quality monitor. So we score every single phone call, inbound or outbound, as being good, fair, or poor. And you know, it's color coded in the cloud. And then we track, you know, the information is then correlated with all your call detail records. And so you're able to really look at every single call, look at every leg of the call setup and the call progressing, and you can see where something is going on that might be causing a poor call quality. And of course, you can see call drops, you can see one-way audio, anything that's going on can be visible from there. And so all of that real-time data about the call quality and the history call of all of those call records are stored. And then from there, you can do aggregated call quality metrics, including, call quality metrics around packet flows and graph and do all kinds of graphic representations of the call quality. So you also get multi-tenant operation when you start to get into the higher end service plans. And so basically that means you can have sub-organizations. So if you're a small reseller and you're selling to an end user, it means you can create an organization for each end user, and you can let those end users then you can give them credentials then to do certain things. They can look at what's going on with their call quality. They can look at what's going on with their call detail records, and you can give them whatever permissions you want or you don't. But some of this can be some self-help or some self-service, is to empower your subscribers. Or if you're just in a multi-tier, business model, maybe you're a wholesaler and you're selling SIP trunks to people that are reselling those SIP trunks. Again, the platform can be deployed to manage those all of those trunk subscribers, and those sub-organizations can be defined. And then support. This is multi-tenant support. So basically, what this does is it allows one sub-organization to provide remote support to another sub-organization through defined access rights. So that means if you're in a two-tier model and you're supporting a reseller and the reseller supporting a customer, then then your customer can give your reseller permission to access his devices, and the reseller can give permission to the distributor to access his devices. They can do it as a steady state permission, or they can do it as a, kind of a break the glass kind of scenario where something went wrong. Now we need to let you guys have access, press a few buttons, and now you have access to the sub-organization's devices, and you can do what you need to do. And then, of course, everything that the Patton Cloud can do is all the functions are available through an API. So it means you can integrate the Patton Cloud into other systems, or other systems can be integrated into the Patton Cloud. So if you have, if maybe you have some kind of a cloud management thing that goes with your PBX, or a cloud management thing that goes with your SIP trunk, you can bring the Patton Cloud, network management, device management, service management, all of that stuff then can reside on that other cloud platform, or the other way around. And then I just want to point out that we have a host of resources. Each one of these 23 links represents a short video. These videos run between, I'm going to say, 8 minutes and 20 minutes long each, depending on how deep they are. But it really just goes into, in a very detailed way, everything that I just talked about, whether it's the CLI terminal emulation in the cloud, or the call quality metrics and things like that. Those videos are really great, particularly for some of these sexy features like packet capture and the call quality monitoring, where you can see those quality metrics, or you can see the quality going in a very detailed level, really through the functioning of the SIP protocol. I encourage you guys, if anybody wants these videos, I can send you the whole list. They're playable directly out of YouTube. You can also gain access to them on the Patton Academy. So there you need to use your login and register, the same login that you would use on patton.com. Now, I want to talk about this new thing that we've got called LAN discovery and third-party device management, because it wasn't in the content that we have before, and it's really cool. So what LAN discovery is basically, the SmartNode scans the customer's local area network, and in scanning the network, it's looking for all the devices that are connected to that network, and it discovers everything that's there. It'll discover Wi-Fi access points, it'll discover printers, any on-premise PBX products, it'll discover SIP phones. And then that discovery then is reported back to the Patton Cloud, right? So, and then those devices then appear. You can't really see it well on this slide, but inside the Patton cloud, then you get a list of devices. And so then what you can do is you can create alerts. Well, a number of things, and I wish I had better PowerPoint to show this to you. But if it's we also look at, in that discovery, we look at what services are available from the devices that are connected to that local area network. So if there's a web service on a Wi-Fi access point, for example, a web GUI interface, well then we'll tell you this Wi-Fi access point has a web GUI. If it's a SIP phone and there's a SIP service running on the device, we'll tell you this is a SIP device, and this SIP device has a web service associated with it as well. So then from there, you can leverage the Patton cloud to, once you have access, and assuming that customer is yours, you sold them the phones, maybe you sold them the Wi-Fi access point, maybe you didn't, maybe you're just managing that as part of your managed service. But the point is that now from the Patton cloud, you have access to it. And if you have the credentials then for that phone, you can open up from inside the Patton cloud, you can open up the web interface on the SIP phone, or you can open up the web interface on the Wi-Fi access point. You can put in the credentials to those devices. And now you have, from a central location, you have access to the configuration of those devices. So it just greatly simplifies. It basically gives you one place to work in terms of managing the services for your customers. Now, the other thing you can do is alerting and alarming. So let's say you're managing the local area network of the customer, and you're managing their Wi-Fi network, and the Wi-Fi access point goes down. Well, you can use the Patton cloud alerting and alarming to say, you could set up that trigger, and you could say, hey, if the printer goes down, or if the printer's out of ink, or whatever message you can get out of the printer, or whatever you can monitor off of the Wi-Fi access point, you can create those triggers. Whatever, and it really is up to your imagination. Whatever are the needs of your customer, talk with a Patton field application engineer, and we can basically tell you a way to be able to get done using the Patton cloud, the third-party device management and integration and alerting. Okay, so on the LAN device management, it's available now. We are making it official this month. We have been beta testing it, so we have a lot of people already using it, and it's integrated, just part of the advanced and the professional plan. All right, so then just on the SN5, back on the SN500 again, it has streamlined hardware-based feature set. So it does have a CLI. It does not have a web GUI on it. It does have the Cloud Connect, which is very important because a lot of the value of the SN500 is coming out of that cloud connectivity. It does support SIP TLS. It does do static IP routing, but it doesn't do the higher end enterprise grade routing feature sets like GRE and VRRP. And as of yet, it does not have the Microsoft certification, but that is hopefully coming towards the middle of 2021. In terms of market competition, nobody can touch us. I mean, the lowest price, there's some Brazilian brand at 370. There is, I think, Sentinel is a Mediatrix product for 370. We're setting, even at the higher reseller prices, we're under 150 bucks. So you really can't match it in terms of price compared to anything else in the market. And to make it even more attractive, we have some really compelling promotions going on the SN500. We've got a buy one get one free deal. That's to encourage people just to get started. Buy one, try it out, you get one free. You can keep one for yourself. You can deploy one at a customer site to try it out. If you buy 20 or more, we'll give you a 2-year extended warranty free of charge. If you buy 50 or more, then we'll give you an advanced cloud plan, which is the second to the highest cloud plan, free of charge. And then we have a kind of an inverted thing. If you're interested in the Patton cloud because of other smart nodes that you're deploying in your network, and you want to look at the SN500. Well, we want you to look at the SN500, basically, if you're a cloud player. So if you get a standard plan, we're going to give you 2 SN500s free of charge. To get an advanced plan, we're going to give you 4. If you get a professional plan, we're going to give you 8 free SN500. So, how's that for value? You sign up for an OpEx service and you get CapEx free of charge. All right, ordering information, it's really easy. There's one SKU. It's the SN500 4B EUI. That means it has an external universal power interface. You get one power plug or power cord included. You just tell us which country you want it for. And then, of course, you can buy licenses. And, you can add permanent licenses at the time of purchase to add a number of simultaneous SIP sessions, or you can add cloud licenses, which are floating licenses that you can lease to this SN500 or any other SmartNode. We call that a cloud-based feature license. And then, of course, we've got all the services that we offer, premium support during business hours, 24/7 support, and then, of course, we also sell the enhanced warranty services. So, enhanced warranty is different from extended warranty. Enhanced basically means spare in the air, which means we keep units here. So if there's a failure of any device at any time, you automatically get one the next day in your office, guaranteed overnight delivery. Okay, so as resellers and partners of Patton and 888, what do we want you to do? We want you to basically help us get the word out about this product in the market. If you've got a website or a web shop, put up banners, put it in your store. We've got stuff going around social media. Amplify that. Share it. Talk to your customers are following you. You're following us. So help us amplify the message to the customers so that we know that there's this new SBC that's really compelling. And we're running the promos. Take advantage of the promos. Run them to your customers. Train your own people. Train your technical people. Let us train them. We're happy. We're recording this webinar. We've got even more technical trainings available that we can deliver to you, either on something that's regularly scheduled, that's coming up, that we want you to sign up for. If you want us to do something a la carte, we'd be happy to schedule a kind of a one-on-one training session with you. And then, of course, we've got anything that you need in terms of resources to support your efforts, product images, presentation content, videos, data sheets. We can rebrand or co-brand data sheets and things like that to deliver you guys PDFs if it would help out. And so, all right, values of Patton products. Basically, this is kind of a universal thing. Patton products are homegrown. We design, develop, manufacture ourselves, and so we're in the business for the long term. We've been going for close to 40 years. We really pride ourselves on delivering high quality products that you really don't get from the Asian brands, but also value. Particularly with this SN500, the other major brands like the Cisco's or the Audio Codes or the Sangomas or the Ribbons of the world, they're not going to be able to touch our price. And again, we're interoperability. We interoperability test certify with everybody all the time. The old players, the new players, the small players, the big players. We're constantly testing and getting certified if that's what is required. And again, it's one operating system. The same software running on an SN500 is the same software running on an SN5500. And it's the same software that's virtualized and running in a hypervisor environment and available as a virtual SBC. So if So the software only product for the virtualized environment and the little hardware on-premise eSBC, it's all the same software, which means, well, first of all, to know it is to love it. And, but once you know it once, you don't have to know it again just because you need a little bit of a different device for this customer. You can buy a Patton product and it's going to configure the same way. It's going to connect to the cloud the same way. If you're using CLI commands, the commands are all going to be absolutely identical. And so there's real benefits in that one operating system. And then of course we're staying ahead, right? We're not standing still. We're continuously releasing new software. We're leading the market in some cases, but in any case, we're following the market to make sure we've got all of our bases covered. And then, of course, because it's homegrown software, because it's homemade hardware, because we do all of this software release continually, it's flexible, right? So, if you come up with a strange use case or a customer thing, or he needs to do something with call recording, or he needs to do something with announcements. We do special features all the time. Even if we have to kind of break SIP, an RFC here or there for a special use case in order to make something work with a network that's been deployed in a little bit different way, we can do it, and we have done it. And then of course security. SIP, TLS, SRTP, OpenVPN, IPsec, all of this stuff is important from both a voice and a data perspective. And then of course all IP, that's where the world is going. We have the vision for it, and we're supporting this major network transformation that is going on and will continue to go on for probably another 10 years or so. That's all I've got. It's a one-way monologue here, so I hope that what we presented was a benefit to you, and I guess we now have time for some questions, if there are any questions.
Yeah, Bert, we did have a couple of questions. The first one was, is this hardware-based or cloud? Which I think you answered that already throughout the presentation.
Yeah, I mean, we have a all software. We have what we call the virtual SmartNode, which amongst other things, it is a virtual SBC that can sit in a hypervisor environment. That solution requires the Patton cloud, so it must be connected to the Patton cloud. All of the hardware SBCs, including the SN500, you don't need to connect them to the Patton cloud. They can operate independent of the Patton cloud. And so you can think of the SN500 when connected to the Patton cloud as being a hardware software solution. The actual SBC functionality is running in the hardware, but the monitoring and the management of the network and the SBC functions and the calls and all that stuff are happening as a software as a service in what we call the Patton Cloud Edge Orchestration Service.
All right, the next question was, can I please have someone contact me to discuss how this would fit into our customer's network? Yes, absolutely. I will have one of our sales reps reach out to you and discuss this with you. And then another question asked about if the webinar was recorded. Yes, it is, and it will be on our on-demand webinars section of our website in the next day or so. If anyone else has any more questions, please feel free to type them into the chat section of the toolbar, and we'll get those answered. All right, if we don't have any more questions, Bert, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to present this info for us. And thank you to all of you guys for attending.
All right, thank you.